Hi everyone, welcome back to Yoga with Rosie. So today's class is going to be for the lower back pain. So if you have any lower back pain, this class should be perfect for you. So we're going to start off by laying on our backs with our legs stretched out behind us or in front of us, whichever way, our legs stretched out. And your back is nice and flat on the floor. Your shoulders are back, your arms are relaxing down by your sides. And we're going to start to slow down our breathing. Start to take longer inhales and longer exhales. Feel the support of the ground beneath you and just know that you're safe. So as we start to lengthen our breath, our body starts to relax. Any tension you might feel just melts away. If things pop up into your mind, just bring yourself back to your breath with your long inhales and long exhales. When you feel ready, we're going to bring both knees into the chest and gently hug them in towards you. This should be a nice stretch along your lower back. From here, you can start to move your knees either from side to side or back and forth, or you can create some circles. This will just gently massage your lower back. So find what feels good today. Find some movement in both directions, treating each side equally. And giving yourself a lovely lower back massage. And when we're ready, we're going to start rocking back and forwards until we come to a seated position. So again, this might feel like a lovely massage all along your spine. So we're going to do this several times. Just rocking back and forth very gently to massage your back. And coming to a seated position. We're now going to move into cat-cow. So come onto your hands and knees with your hands underneath your shoulders and your knees underneath your hips. With the inhale, we're going to drop the belly and the gaze comes up. And with the exhale, we're going to round the spine and look down. Inhale. Exhale. Let's do this a couple more times with your own rhythm. And back to a neutral spine. We're now going to move into thread the needle, so move your weight onto your left hand and your right hand is going to slowly come up and open up your chest. And then we're going to thread your hand between your left hand and your left knee so that your shoulder comes down to the floor. You can stay here, or your left hand might want to twist up and over your back into your right side pocket. Let's do the opposite side. So bring your left hand back next to your face, press up into tabletop position. Start to bring the weight onto your right hand, and your left hand opens up to the side with your left hand pointing up to the sky. And you bring your left hand between your right hand and your right knee, lower down your shoulder to the floor. And again, your right hand can either stay where it is, or your right hand can come up and over and into your left side body. And back up into tabletop position. We're now going to lower down into Sphinx pose. So if you straighten your legs and lower down to your tummy, you're going to come up onto your elbows with your forearms stretched out in front of you. Your legs are straight, shoulders are away from your ears, and your chest is lifted. And your gaze can either be down or you can be looking forwards. Don't push yourself too far here, because if you're already experiencing back pain, you don't want to do anything too extreme. If this feels like too much, you can bring your elbow forwards, and it should lessen this pose. So we're going to stay here for one more cycle of breath. So deep inhale, deep exhale. And let's come back up onto tabletop position, our hands and knees, and we're going to press back into a downward facing dog. So tuck your toes under your feet, lift your hips and press back into a downward facing dog. You might want to find some movement here by bending one leg and then bending the other. You might want to press through your shoulders and deeply bend your knees. You might want to find stillness. We're not going to be here for long. Let's do one more round of breath. So deep inhale, deep exhale, and then we're going to slowly walk to the front of the mat. And we're going to slowly rise up into mountain pose. I'm going to face you just so you can see me. I'm going to stand at an angle actually. So now that we're standing, we're going to do a nice big morning stretch. So you want to have your feet underneath your hips, your spine is nice and straight, shoulders back. And with a big inhale, we're going to raise our arms up over our head. And stretch through your fingers. And exhale, arms come back down. So we're now going to move into a forward fold. So keeping your feet hips distance apart. We're going to inhale, raise our arms up overhead, and exhale, fold forwards. Now you could have straight legs if that's what your flexibility allows you to do. You could have bent legs if that helps. I find that bending my knees helps tremendously. So you might want to bend your knees generously. You can even place your hands on the floor. You don't have to have super straight legs and a flat back and all the rest of it. You don't have to be a gymnast to do this. You just really want to generously bend your legs so that you feel a nice stretch down your back. So you want to have your arms almost dangling or on the floor. You want to relax your neck, so shake your head yes, shake your head no. Maybe move your shoulders. If you do want to have straight legs, just make sure that your knees don't lock backwards. You might want to have a gentle bend in your legs, in your knees. So forward folds often help release tension in the back. So this should feel good. Okay, let's press back up, vertebrae by vertebrae, until we're standing. We're going to do the same, but this time with a wider stance. So if you bring your legs into a goddess squat kind of position, so your feet are more than hips distance apart and your toes are facing outwards. We're going to place our hands on our hips, have a nice straight spine. Inhale, and on the exhale, start to hinge forwards at the hips allowing your chest to come forwards. You might want to alter your feet. You might want to make them wider or narrower. And your hands might want to come down to the floor. Maybe your head can come down to the floor. I'm not that flexible, but if that's an option for you, you could do that as well. And we just want to stretch our legs here, our hamstrings. And this should release some tension in the lower spine, in the lower back. You might want to start to bring your hands towards your left foot for a bit more of a twist. Back to centre and over to the right foot. Back to centre. Just relax your head, shake your head yes. Shake your head no. And then from here we're going to bend our knees. I'm going to shimmy my feet in a little bit and come down into a squat. So I'm going to place my hands in prayer hands in front of me. Press my elbows into my knees and my knees into my elbows. Try to have a straight spine. Gaze can be looking forwards. And this pose is nice to open up your hips, but it might also release some tension in your lower spine. If this doesn't feel good for you, feel free to skip it. I know that a squat is quite a hard pose to do. You can move into child's pose or something similar if you want to. Let's stay here for 5 more seconds. And we're going to lower back down into a seated position. So this next pose, you have 2 options. So we're going to be leaning forwards in both of them. So you can either do Baddha Konasana, which is where the soles of your feet are touching. You wriggle about a little bit on your sits bones and then start to lean forward. You can wrap your hands around your feet, lean forwards, and that will stretch your lower spine. You might even want to press your elbows onto your knees for a bit of a hip opener at the same time. The other option is to cross your legs. You could cross your right leg in front of your left leg and just start to move your sits bones again so that you're leaning forwards, and bring your hands out in front of you. You might want to come down onto your forearms or stay lifted on your hands, just so that you feel a release in your lower spine. If you're sitting cross-legged, let's swap sides. So put your opposite foot in front and again lean forwards so that you feel a release of tension. Remembering to breathe. So wherever you are, we're going to press back up and we're going to counteract this pose by going into reverse tabletop. So you're going to sit with your feet hips distance apart and your knees upright. You're going to place your hands behind you with your fingers pointing to the back of the mat. And then on 3, we're going to press up into a tabletop position with our hips raising up to the sky. So 1, 2, 3. Push your hips up, your head can relax back. And this is reverse tabletop. So if you push your hips forwards, upwards, sorry. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. And we're going to lower back down. We're now going to move into child's pose. So if you shuffle back to the back of your mat, I like to come up into a tabletop position first. Bring your toes together. Your sits bones come back to rest on your feet. And then your hands can come forwards and you can release your head down to the mat and your chest down to the mat into child's pose. This is another one that's great for releasing any tension in the spine, and it's more of a restorative pose, a relaxing pose. So if you ever feel like a yoga class is too much, you can always come back into this pose and take a little bit of a time out whilst also doing some good for your body. When we're ready, we're going to come back up into tabletop position and move through 3 cat-cows that we did at the beginning of the practice. So inhale, drop the belly, look up. Exhale, round the spine, look down. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. And we're going to thread the needle again. So if you bring your weight onto your left hand, the right arm comes up and opens up your chest. Your right hand comes through your left hand and your left knee until your shoulder meets the ground. And your left hand can either stay on the mat or can come up and over to reach your right side pocket. And just notice how this feels any different to how it did at the beginning of the practice. Remembering to breathe. Let's press back up into tabletop position and do the same on the opposite side. So bring your weight onto your right hand and your left hand comes up and opens up your chest. I'm going to thread your left hand through your right hand and your right knee until your shoulder comes to the mat. Your right hand can stay where it is, or you can bring your right hand up, round and over to your left side pocket. Again, remembering to breathe. And when we're ready, we're going to press back up into a tabletop position, back down into Sphinx pose. So straighten your legs out, come down onto your belly, onto your forearms, and into Sphinx pose. And notice how your body might feel different to how it did at the beginning of the practice. Maybe you feel less pain in your lower spine. Maybe you can press up a little bit more in this pose than you did before. Maybe you feel more relaxed. Maybe you feel more at peace. Maybe you feel more connected to your own body. Just notice how you feel in this moment. And when we're ready, we're going to come down and lay on our backs. So we've got a couple more poses left to do. The first one we're going to do is bridge pose. So if you bring your feet hip distance apart so that your knees are bent, then place your feet just behind your buttocks. You want to have your shoulders back and down. Your arms can be down by your sides with your palms facing down. And on the count of 3, we're all going to lift our hips, pressing up to the sky and coming into bridge pose. 1, 2, 3. So you want to peel from the base of your spine all the way up so that you're pressing your hips to the sky and you come up onto your shoulders. Squeezing your glutes, making sure your knees are hips distance apart, they're not splaying outwards or coming inwards. Press, press, press. And back down to the floor, slowly and gently. Bring your feet out to the sides of the mat and bring your knees in together to meet. This just neutralizes the spine after doing a back bend. Just notice how your spine feels. Okay, the next thing I'd like us to do is to do supine twist. We're going to do this one a little bit differently. So if you keep your right knee bent how it is, and we're going to bring your left leg up and over your right leg so that you're cross-legged. Bring your arms out to the sides. I'm going to slowly lower our legs down to the right hand side. So this is supine twist with our legs crossed, and it might just be a little bit different to what you're used to with a supine twist. Relax into this pose. Let your legs fall to the side. And feel the twist of your spine. Making sure that both shoulders are still touching the floor. Let's press back up and do the opposite side. So left foot comes down, right foot comes up and over to cross over the left leg. And your legs can slowly fall to the left hand side. Just letting gravity do the work. Feeling the twist of your spine, but keeping your shoulders and your arms against the ground. Remembering to breathe. Pressing back through center, we're going to move into happy baby. So if you bring your knees into your chest, and then place your hand on the outside of each foot. Splay your elbows and bring your knees almost in towards your armpits. So you want to bring your feet down, bring your elbows out. And this is a bit of a hip exercise, but also if you start to rock from side to side, you might feel a gentle massage on your back, which is why I like this pose. Bring your knees into your chest. We're going to do the same movement we did right at the beginning of the class. So create some circles with your knees. Or maybe you just want to move your knees back and forth, side to side. Just give yourself a lovely lower back massage and notice how your back feels different. Maybe it feels the same. Hopefully it feels better. But just show yourself some love today. Give your body what it needs. If this is too painful, feel free to move into Shavasana. For everybody else, just spend a couple of moments here massaging your lower spine in any ways that feel best for you. And when you're ready, we're going to move into Shavasana. So extend your legs out in front of you with your feet the width of the mat. Your hands can come down beside you. And you can start to slow down your breathing. Focus on your breath. And just feel the support of the ground beneath you. And maybe go through all the different parts of your body that are touching the mat. The heels of your feet, your calves, your buttocks, maybe your lower back, maybe not, your middle back, your upper back and your shoulders, your arms and your elbows, and either the palm of your hand, the side of your hand, or the top of your hand. And Just feel supported here. Focusing on your breath with long inhales and long exhales. If your mind starts to wander, just focus on the breath again. Focus on your deep inhales and your long exhales. Where do you notice the breath? Do you notice the breath through your nostrils? Out of your mouth? Does your chest move? Does your abdomen move? What are the slight changes that happen in your body when you breathe? And just pay close attention to those. When you feel ready, we're going to do a big morning stretch. Just stretch your toes out long. Bring your arms up over your head and stretch your fingertips long. Maybe wiggle your fingers in your toes, your ankles in your wrists. Bring your knees into your chest. Give yourself a nice big squeeze and gently rock back and forth until you come to a seated position. And that's the end of today's practice. Thank you so much for practicing with me today. I really hope you enjoyed this class. If you did, make sure you subscribe down below using the big red button. You can turn on bell notifications as well to find out every time I post a new video. I post yoga videos every single Monday. There's a whole playlist full of other classes if you want to go ahead and do some more with me. Otherwise, please give this video a big thumbs up. That really helps me out. Share it with anybody else who might be interested in practicing yoga with me. And I will see you very soon. Have a wonderful day. Namaste.